craft box with you. So for August, we have a journaling theme, and I'm going to go through all the stuff you get in it in just a moment. But if you aren't familiar with our craft boxes, it is a monthly thing that we offer on our website from Sizzix.com and Sizzix.co.uk, where we put together a bunch of goodies with Thinlits dies, make some of our best making essentials, so you get a little bit of a taste of everything, if you will. So you'll get an adhesive, sometimes we include embossing powders or our glitter. I'm really excited because this month has some of my favorite things in it, which is florals. I'm pretty much obsessed with anything floral, but I love that it's a journaling thing because I actually love to write, and so this month I have taken it and applied it to how I would typically journal. So I'm going to go through everything in the box. If you aren't familiar, on Sizzix.com it's $29.99, and on Sizzix.co.uk it's £25. It's a really great value. Just to give you an idea, 2 of these die sets alone add up to what the whole box costs typically. So you're actually getting a lot of value for your money, and you're getting 3 die sets, you're getting paper, you're getting making essentials, you're getting our adhesives. So it's a great way to try out some of our products, but also just to get a little snapshot for each month of new ways that you can use our products. So I'm going to switch to my overhead camera so that we can go through my makes today, and I'm going to go through all the product in it as well. So give me just 1 second. Okay, so I've got everything laid out that comes in the August Craft Box, and as per usual, you get a lovely wide assortment of different things to play with. So this month, from our adhesives, you're going to get our express glue, which is quick drying. I love this when I'm working with stuff where I want my paper or anything like it does have a tacky consistency to it. So I love when I can work and layer things and they dry quickly so that I don't have to spend forever waiting for things to set. So quick drying glue is great. You're also going to get some of our foam tape. This is great if you want to add a little bit of dimension. It's thin, so you can, I actually like to build layers on this sometimes, but I love that it comes in a wrap so you can determine how much you actually want to use. You're also going to get some of our washi tape. This is from our botanical collection. So you get 3 lovely little washi's. This one, I love the foil, the gold foil polka dot, and then you get some florals, and then this one has a really nice leaf leaf kind of decor on it in 3 different colors. So this is perfect when you're journaling. We use washi when we're journaling quite a bit. You're also going to get one of our biodegradable fine glitters in Primrose. So this is kind of a lovely hue for like pinks, and I'm actually going to bring this in. I had this off to the side. This is what it looks like when you use it. It is definitely beautiful, stunning glitters. And then we get your 3 die sets. Now, these are some of my tried and true favorites. You've got Spring Foliage from Pete Hughes. So what's cool about this particular die set is that you get this one foliage piece. But if you cut it and layer it and go around, you can create wreaths, you can create half wreaths, you can just use this piece for decor, you can cut it apart, use all the foliage. You also get all these little flowers to decorate with around the foliage if you're going to create a wreath. I'm going to show you how I used it a couple different ways in the samples I have for you today to show you some alternate ways to use it other than a wreath. And it's really nice because this is one you can use year-round. You just change out the colors and you can change it for any season. That one's by Pete Hughes. Then we've got from Lisa Jones the Geo Floral Frame. And this is another great die set for year-round use because you just change out the colors to whatever you might be working on. So for journaling purposes, these are great sets. So you get these lovely little frames in here as well as some florals and some foliage pieces. I've definitely used these frames in my samples today because I love creating journal cards and decorating journal cards and creating my own little art pieces. So these are a perfect base for journaling. Then from Jenna Rushforth, we have the hand-drawn alphabet. This is a really nice alphabet. It comes in one sheet like this, so you can just run it through as many times as you want and as many different colors as you want, and use tweezers and these quick drying glue with our express glue, or you can also purchase our adhesive sheets. Adhesive sheets are perfect for these as well, and they're available on our website if you are interested in those. But this is a great little alphabet for journaling. I'll show you a couple different ways I used it today. It's a perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. Gives you great things for titles. So I'm just going to move these over to the side so I can show you the paper that you get this month. So you always are going to get an assortment of our cardstock. Our cardstock is probably my favorite thing that we have in our Making Essentials collection, and we have quite a wide array of cardstock colors now. But these are from our assorted pack. You're going to get primrose, hibiscus, limoncello, green tea, lush leaves, mint julep, mermaid kiss, Earl Grey, and cobblestone. And then you're also, as always, going to get 5 sheets of smooth white cardstock, perfect for card bases, but as you'll see today, I've actually used it for embellishment uses. So you'll always get an assortment of cardstock and the white in your monthly craft box. We want to give you stuff to cut with. So what I decided to do today is to create journaling cards. I'm actually an active journaler. I don't always decorate my journals, and I wish I did so more often, but when I do, I really like to just grab like a standard journal. In my house, I have probably 3 separate shelves of empty journals. That's how much I love to write. So some of them I keep just for writing, some I actually keep as art journals, and then there's some where I have a mix where I'll keep like inspirational quotes and stuff. But this month I wanted to show you how I would decorate a monthly journal. So this is just one I picked up. I think I picked this up at IKEA. But you just want like a generic kind of journal. Mine doesn't have any lined pages or anything like that, so it's really easy for me to kind of create my own little scene. So what you'll see I did on the first page is, because this was a monthly journal, I wanted to create kind of an intro page. And what I did is I used the hand-drawn alphabet, and I cut out the word August because it's the August Craft Box, and I first lined that out on the page, and then I decorated above and below using different elements from the die sets. So I actually am going to grab the die set so I can show you which pieces I used. So I used a lot of the floral elements from the various sets. So from spring foliage, I used the large foliage piece to kind of anchor how I was going to lay out this kind of design. So I cut it out of Mermaid Kiss, and I put both of these on, arcing away from the lines that I drew in with a ruler. And I do that so that I kind of then know where the rest of my design is going to go. If you start with the small stuff, that's fine too, but I find I have a harder time building the scene, and I knew I wanted to have something that flowed almost like in an S shape from the August portion. So I used that to create my anchor piece, and then I just cut a bunch of florals, layered them up, especially when normally I would use like our paper sculpting kit and add 3D dimension, but when you're journaling, you're not really adding dimension like that, like you would on a scrapbook page or a card. But if you are going to do that, our paper sculpting kit works beautifully with these flowers just to give them that 3D effect. But what I did is I just cut multiple layers so that they're laid flat, but it still gave it that realistic texture that I wanted, which is to make them look a little bit more lifelike. So I just cut out everything from mint julep. I kind of picked a color scheme for the month based on the papers that were available in the craft box. And I decided I was going to carry that color scheme all the way through. So I started it on the intro page so that all the pages to come afterwards would all kind of correlate. So that's something you can do with your craft box each month. If you're wanting to use the elements to journal with, you can just pick a theme for the month and then carry that colorway all the way through the whole month. So I'll pull this up a little bit closer so you can see the detailing on it. But as you can see, I just cut multiple layers of the flowers and layered them on top of each other. I put everything down with the express glue. I used a pair of tweezers and just put a dab of express glue on a craft mat, and then just dabbed the elements in just to give them a light bit of glue on them so it wouldn't seep out too much. But I just went through and layered everything up and created my own little foliage floral August intro page. So another way you can use these die sets, I'm going to go through a couple of different pages, is you can create kind of more artistically driven journal cards. So when I see journal cards that are just flat paper, they're really beautiful scenes and stuff, but sometimes I just want to be a little bit more artsy. So what I actually did is I cut a bunch of the pieces out. I cut the squares you'll see here using the geofloral frame. So this particular shape cuts out two pieces. So it'll cut out the inner piece, which I'm using as my journaling card base, but it will also cut out the frame. So you get both. And I've actually saved the frames for another piece later on in the journal. But what I like to do is create a mixture in my journals of something that's artistically is pretty, and then next to it have something that's purposeful and driven. So I'll get to this page in a second, but this was my artsy page. So I cut 4 of the rectangles from the cardstock, and then I cut a bunch of foliage out of the 2 grays that are available in the pack. And then I used my white cardstock and I cut out a bunch of the flowers so that they would all be kind of similar on the same page. But then I've gone in with a fine tip black pen and I've just added my own little detailed features just to make it feel a little bit more like it's personalized and it's mine. So I was going to show you how I created one of these real quick. Let me put that off to the side. So I've cut this one out of mint julep, and I've cut out a few of the flowers and layered them up in white, and then we are going to glue them on. So let me grab my express glue real quick. And one thing I like about these foliage pieces is obviously you cut them and they're individual, but then you want to, you can layer them to create your own kind of branches, which is what I did with quite a few on that page. I cut them apart and I used them in different ways than they are typically supposed to be used. My glue does not want to come out. Give me 2 seconds. That's what happens when you leave it open like I did. Okay. So I've actually got a pair of tweezers here off to the side and a craft mat, and I've just put a little bit of my glue on a craft mat so that I can just lightly put it on the back with a pair of tweezers. And then I'm just going to lay down my pieces right here. So I took the flower from the spring foliage set, I just cut it a couple of times, layered them all up, and then I'm just going to lay them down. And then I'll just layer them where I think like a flower stalk might grow the buds. And then I've got a new journaling card. Move this off to the side. I'm going to use it again in just a little bit. And then I've got a nice journal card. And then what I did around each of the edges is I took a fine tip black pen and I just drew lines. Now, if you're a perfectionist, just get out your ruler. I'm not. I like to have more organic lines so they don't feel perfect. I just feel like it goes along with my writing a lot better when I do it like that. Okay. And then you're just going to take some of your adhesive, and you could also use foam tape if you wanted to create a little dimension. You could do it like that, or use a double-sided tape, whatever you have that you prefer. I'm just going to use my express glue. I'm just going to use a little bit. And I'll layer this in with all the other ones. And then I've got a nice little intro page right here that just feels organic. and pretty. And then I'll go back in and I'll add some little detailed centers. You can go in and if you're really good at sketching, you could add in like other little leaf detailing or anything like that. I'm not so talented at that, so I will leave that to people who are much more talented than I am in that regard. Then on the next page, I wanted to have something that was purposeful and driven towards keeping me on track for the month. So I have a to-do list and I have a goals list. So I have taken these and I've cut them from this shape in the Geo Floral frame. And again, it cuts out two pieces. It cuts out the inner part, which I'm using as journaling cards, and then it cuts out the frame. So what I've done is inside the frame, I've taken a ruler and I have taken that fine tip black pen and I've literally just freehand drawn in journaling lines. Now you could also do a bullet point if you're someone who likes to bullet point your goals and your to-do list. I like to do that too, but sometimes I want to write it out if my goals are something that's a little bit more kind of lengthy. And then my to-do list is always ever growing. So you could do multiple pages or you could do a weekly to-do list, whatever feels good to you. Typically I would say make sure that you're doing this before the page behind it's decorated, but I've already decorated that back page. So it's kind of coming through a little bumpy. And again, you're probably going to be more of a perfectionist than I am. I'm doing this a little quickly, so those aren't perfectly straight lines, but I kind of color coordinated them. So my to-do list will be right here, and then my goals will match up with this one right here. And I use that hand-drawn alphabet again to create my own personalized headings, and I'm just going to then glue these in. And then I would decorate these two corners personally. So I would probably go back in and add some more flowers through here or some foliage just to kind of make everything align. And then you can also go back around and draw additional designs on each of these journal cards if you wanted to, or add more foliage to them, but I definitely would decorate it. I'm going to keep it plain so you can kind of see how to build out a journal, but all of this is customizable to what you think looks nice. It is your journal after all. So I would go back and I'd add a little bit more up here and down here, but some people might want to keep it nice and clean because this might be a bit much for them. So then on to the next page. Let me move these frames out of the way. I am someone who likes to document things. So what I've done is I've created a piece that I'm going to lay into my journal. Now I took this and I cut it down to fit into my journal, and then I I cut out the word today so that I can fill in the date, the place, maybe like something else that's personal up here, and then through here just journal my thoughts for the day. Now you can have this go on for multiple pages. You could do a double page spread, and then I wanted to decorate mine on one corner, so you could do another page over here and just continue the lines. If you're someone who doesn't write a lot, one page is perfectly fine. I tend to write about a page or two a day. So first thing I'm going to do is layer this in. Okay. And what's nice when you're doing this is if the ink from the page before bleeds through, then you can just cover it up with journaling cards or with cardstock to do journals. You can strategically place die cuts, things like that. I just love the idea of being able to each day just create a spread for that day that inspires me. And then I just cut out a bunch of flowers and to decorate this and make a little bit of a floral wreath. So I'm just going to glue my flower pieces together. These ones I like to arrange so that they appear multi-layered. So I'll just go through and do those real quick. Journaling is something obviously that is quick and easy, especially all these pages, they didn't take very long to make, but they definitely made me feel happy once I was done with them. I was like, oh, that's pretty. So journaling is something where you can keep it as complicated or as simple. You can go very modern, you can go more traditional. It's kind of like a mini scrapbook almost, and what's nice is any of the stuff I'm showing you here, you can apply any of these to scrapbook pages. You can add in the, did I already glue those together? I didn't realize I'd glued those together already. You can apply any of this stuff to scrapbooks, and which is where I started. I started scrapbooking when I was 10, and it's where my heart will always be. I love a good scrapbook. So journaling, I think, became my way of being able to have little mini scrapbooks. And it's always nice to look back about how dramatic you were when you were 13. Some of the ones I used to write when I was a kid, my goodness, the stuff we cared about back then kind of puts it all into perspective. I even like to keep track of the music I'm listening to, or some people like to keep track of their food or their exercise. I meant to put this one on the middle one, so I'm going to move that real quick. Journals are just a great way to remember what's kind of going on in your life at the moment. And what I'll usually do is, in my journal, I'll write down my thoughts, and then I'll write down quotes that are inspiring me at the moment, or I'll write down podcasts I'm listening to, music that I'm listening to. I think it's a great way to snapshot what is important to you in your life at that moment in time. And the fact that you can customize your journals with dyes and paper and make them look pretty, I think just also is a way of expressing what you're into at that moment. Like, there might be color schemes that you're really feeling, and looking back on those in years to come is so special, I think. I love looking back at old letters from my grandparents, and I think it's a nice way for you to be able to remember where your family's been, where you've been. So journaling's definitely one of my favorite pastimes, to say the least. Okay, we're just going to put these final little details on. So you'll see I do like to layer, especially with these kind of more free-range journals. You can make them as thick or as thin as you want to, so you can actually take out extra pages if you want to. If you wanted to go for more of a thicker journal, put little memorabilia and create pockets to tuck things into. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. So I also had these frames left over, and I wanted to show on the next page. I don't know what I would do, but I was thinking I might lay these out and add in pictures from the month, or I like to take Polaroids occasionally, so I think I would use these to frame out my Polaroids. But definitely save your frames, because you can use them throughout the month. So we've got a couple of nice like little pages for the beginning of, not the beginning, although we're in the middle of August, but you can backtrack and set this up for September if you wanted to. But just a few quick ideas of different ways that you can use the craft box this month. So that's it for our August craft box. I hope that you were inspired by some of the samples I did today. I'm honestly going to start doing this on every month of my journals. I love creating little intro pages, and there's tons of ideas of different ways that you can decorate those with any of your die cuts. You can get really creative for the seasons coming up, especially like Halloween and Christmas, and for us here in the States and in Canada, Thanksgiving. So there's definitely a lot to celebrate coming up and to remember. So definitely take time to journal, and why not pick up the craft box for a friend and send them something, and just encourage each other to write down your thoughts. Memory keeping is a really important pastime, and it's something I had instilled in me at a very young age, and something that I still enjoy to this day. And I hope that you have fun making with yours this month. Again, they are available on Sizzix.com and Sizzix.co.uk. They're available right now, but they are selling fast, so get there quickly. They will be gone before you know it. until next time, I hope you are all staying safe, keeping well, and have fun crafting. I'll talk to you soon.